Just want to get my thoughts on DragonBall Z Kai. Now, as we all know, Fuji TV and Akira Toriyama, hope I said that right, really hope I said that right, did a revised version of an anime that pretty much everyone in the entire world has seen. It's one of the most recognized animes that it's really taken off in the Western world ever since it got brought over to Cartoon Network's Toonami in the late 90s and the early part of the noughties. Still can't believe they refer to it as that. There you go. And you know, it's been, particularly with the video games, it's been done so many times. I mean, you could argue whenever they release a new Budokai, a new Burst Limit, or Raging Blast, it's basically the same stories and fights that we've played in the games, but they add little things like, for example, they add things like the Cell Saga, the Majin Buu, and then we get to GT. That should never have happened. But anyway, getting off the point. I've seen a few episodes of DBZ Kai, or even DBZK, and I genuinely like what they've done. I mean, the premise is they've taken all the unnecessary filler out, which, as I'm sure most of you can appreciate, that was one of DBZ's biggest faults back in the day. There was far too much talking and segments that didn't really need to be in there. And there's only 98 episodes. 97 were supposed to be broadcast in Japan, but when they got round to doing the 98th episode, the earthquake started happening in Japan. So what they've done exclusively just for DVD and Blu-ray is the last episode is a bonus episode, or just an extra. So I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a low that the last episode didn't get to be put out onto TV, but you can understand the reasons why. But all in all, from what I've seen of Kai, it's been definitely sharpened up a lot. Now you got to keep in mind that this footage is, particularly when it goes back to the Saiyan saga, along with the Namek and the Frieza saga. This is footage that's particularly with the Saiyan saga, it's 20 plus years old. So you can brush the images up as much as you would like. I mean, yeah, it looks great, but you're not going to make it look as effective and as nice and shiny as you do with the opening and closing credits, which is a little bit misleading. It's a similar kind of premise when you look back at the original Thundercats animated series. The opening footage is great. It's like, oh, this is going to be really exciting! And then you get to the episode and you're like, really? But, and particularly with the vocal cast, I mean, Chris Sabat coming back to reprise his roles as Vegeta and Piccolo. I think this is the best performance of Vegeta that he's done. Sabat has this really good way of finding this growth, like, blast you, Kakarot! Kakarot! No! But for me, the best Vegeta is Brian Drummond. Tell me, Kakarot, what have you managed to achieve whilst you've been out there in space all by yourself? Drummond just has a much better way of getting across that evil and arrogant side, but Sabat is, he's able to tap into other aspects that makes the character what it is. So don't get me wrong, I like both their performances, but I lean a little bit more towards Drummond because he sells the 9,000 gag. It's over 9,000! We've all done it. Sean Schemmel as Goku, I find his performance as the pure-hearted Saiyan, as he's known very well as in the anime, his performance, like with Sabat, it's definitely a lot more natural. It feels a lot more organic, and I don't know what it is with Sean's voice, but it has not aged at all. I mean, I go back and listen to the fights first fight between him and Vegeta, and then I listen to the segments where he and Frieza are talking. I don't hear any difference. Now, whether or not Sean has just found a really good way of maintaining his voice over the years, or the guy's just plain lucky. I mean, it might just be it might be the latter. But Sean, you know, he's just perfect as Goku. I'm not too keen on Gohan's new voice. I don't understand why they couldn't have got the other one. Sonny Strait as Krillin. There's no one better. End of. Bulma's new voice actress. It's an improvement upon the old one. I didn't dislike the original, but this one, it just seems to flow a little bit more. I think Sean's still voicing King Kai, because when I looked at some of the episodes where Goku was trapped on Namek and exploded, King Kai doesn't really seem to sound any different or any less different, so that's not such a bad thing. I think it's definitely helped the anime by cutting all the unnecessary filler out. And here's a spoiler: no Garlic Jr. saga. But I think some of us can agree that's actually a good thing, because remembering that saga, I was like, yeah, why is this here? You know? And I like the fact that Trunks' VA has remained the same. And the guy who's playing Frieza in this, he sounds so much like the guy from DBZ Abridged. It definitely, and again, his Frieza's vocal performance in this one, it feels a lot more natural than the Funimation and even the Ocean dub. Now, the Ocean dub I tend to lean towards more because, again, Brian Drummond to me is my personal favourite Vegeta, and Scott McNeil is always doing a great job as Piccolo. I don't feel as though the VA they got for Trunks in Ocean was that great. I mean, it's not terrible, but I've heard better. I noticed it particularly when Toonami were airing the training up towards the Cell games. They changed Goku's voice actor again, and I think it was the guy who played Scott Summers in X-Men Evolution. And to be fair, it does actually fit Goku's personality, and I don't know, it just seemed to work better. But Sean Schemmel's the man. End of. I will be getting this one on DVD. I would recommend it to anyone who's a long-time DBZ fan, or someone who likes DBZ but would rather have the nutshell version as opposed to the, endless filler. I mean, if everybody had to buy individual DVDs instead of the box sets for Dragon Ball Z, then let's just say some of us would be needing new shelf space, to put it politely. But I do like it. I think it's a good way of celebrating the show's 20th anniversary. And at the same time, it's giving the current generation, even the next generation, an opportunity to see what we liked, 10 years ago when it was broadcast on Toonami. Which, by the way, Cartoon Network, you really need to bring that back. Come on, it makes sense. And I mean, Gura. I think a good friend, a friend of mine, said how Nicktoons are able to convey some really sad and tragic moments in the series, and being able to carry it over like that, but without trying to cover it up too much, which is almost unheard of when you consider a lot of shows these days try to dumb things down or try to take out these rather graphic or mature moments in there, because if DBZ was to be broadcast uncut, then let's just say it would not get put on at the 4 o'clock time slot in the afternoons. I mean, one of the things I liked about Toonami back in the day is that at some stages they would actually put things like episodes of Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z sometimes as late as 9 or 10 in the evening, or maybe even 11. I mean, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen toons that late in the evening. But yeah, it's worth a look. And personally, I think they could have done themselves a favor by maybe just reanimating everything, but that would take ages. But yeah, definitely worth a look, and it's definitely DBZ's time again. Thank you for your time.